Welcome, welcome, welcome to our Mindset Monday. And this is where we talk about the importance of having or what the mindset can do to help you to go out there and create the success that you have. And it's funny because, um, being in the industry as long as I have, it's been now 20 plus years. And, I was, to give you an idea, the first company I was with, um, for those of you all, y'all might know who Jeff Olson is. You might know who Eric Worre is. You might know who some of these people are. Well, these were some of the people that I was actually in Jeff Olson's team. Eric Worre was one of the trainers in that company. And, I was taught a bunch of different things. I remember, Eric Worre talking about if your lips are moving, you better be pointing. Everything that you do needs to be duplicatable, and we talk about those things. And then the longer I was in the industry, the more that other things came out too, where you'll hear us talk about the fact that anyone can do what we do. It's so simple. It's sharing a cup of coffee. It's not complicated. And then you'll hear on another call where we're like, hey, it makes sense to get better and sharpen your axe and learn how to communicate and all these different things. So guys, you have to be able to read between the lines as we talk about a lot of these different things, because yes, things that you want things to duplicate, right? But a lot of times we want to duplicate results. It's not always the exact activity. For instance, can we agree that some personalities are not duplicatable? Like if someone has this bubbly personality where they could just they go in a place and they just start hugging everybody, and they're just like, oh, whatever, and they're signing up people left and right. And then we have a guy that basically is more standoffish and stuff, maybe very, I don't even know what the words would be, but basically not a hugger, right? And then they're like, well, I can't do this business because Lauren's hugging everybody, and I'm not hugging people to do this business. Like, that's just weird, right? So the thing is that there's certain things that we want to duplicate, and there's personalities aren't. Like, for instance, like, some crazy stuff has happened. Like I got a speeding ticket, and I recruited the cop that basically gave me a speeding ticket. Now, what do? Like, we got to duplicate. Everything you do needs to be duplicatable. So I'm going to go speed everywhere and try to get as many tickets as I can and recruit the cops. Like, that makes no sense, right? Some people go out shopping and they're like, shopping and run into people and all that. Well, guys, you could go broke if you're using shopping as the way that you're going to basically go out and do this. So we're not, there's a side of duplication, and there's also a side where certain things you're not going to duplicate. Like, we have a lot of incredible, people in the team that are fantastic. Bunch of moms that are doing all these cool stories with their kids and all that stuff. Well, guys, if I tried to do the exact same post, it doesn't work for me. And believe me, I tried. I'm telling you, I have. Like, I've literally tried. I've like watched Hillary and Gabrielle and Carly and Melissa and that whole group. And I'm watching all their posts, and I'm like maybe copying and pasting different parts. And my friends are like, what in the hell happened to my friend? Like, who is this person, right? Like, that's not me. That's not my personality. Yes, I do things with my kids and all that, but it's just a different type of environment. More like me being muddy, covered in mud, or around a big fire, or around heavy equipment, or four-wheelers, or the boat and all that stuff. Like, that's my personality. That's what would work for me. So the point is that it's funny. Hillary's like, be you. It's amazing. Part of my affirmation was, I get paid millions to be me. And the thing is that you want to embrace who you are, what your strengths are, what gets you fired up, what gets you excited, and basically be you. Because, we joke around and we say the number one rule in our business, we have a very simple 4-step system. And our number one rule, we have 2 rules. So we have a 4-step system, but there are 2 rules. Rule number 1, be normal. You want to be normal. You don't want to be a weirdo. You know, how many of you all know people that have gotten started, or how many people were that person that got started in this industry and all of a sudden you turn into Weirdville, right? And then your friends are like, did you join one of them their cults or something? Like you're just, you know, and they like you get told all kinds of stuff and they're like, what happened to my friend? So we want to be normal. That's rule number one. Rule number two is you have to have fun. Hey, if it's not normal for you to have fun, I don't know what to tell you on that one. But whatever, however you can do it to where it's not something that you dread doing, because it's funny. And when we talk about mindset and we talk about the way that we feel in doing the business, see, you're not going to attract what your thoughts repel. So what do I mean by that? Well, one, if you think money is the root of all evil and you look at wealthy people or success and you look at them from a negative perspective of, oh, they, you know, that person this or that person that, if you have any negative thoughts towards wealth, then you will not attract what your thoughts repel. The other thing is if you basically feel like you have to grind, or you have to go do this, or I have to do that, or I have to, you know, do all these different things, then what'll happen is you will basically sabotage yourself and you won't do anything because nobody wants to do things that they just really don't want to do. Right? Well, like how many of us want to be in great shape, right? Like we all say we want to be in great shape, but then when it comes time to go do what it takes to be in great shape, we might not be willing to do. So, and I'm using that as an example is because I really don't like working out. So I hired a trainer. So where now I have to go, I go 3 days a week and I have to go whatever, but I frame it to where it's fun. And like I tell myself different little stories, or I make things up to make it fun because it's not normally something that I like to do. Because I think that weights like steel should be picked up with a forklift or like a pulley system or something. Like there's no reason to pick stuff up, but you know, without resistance, you cannot grow. So in life, for you to grow, for you to get better, you have to basically be willing to do things that might be a little bit uncomfortable at first. And I wanted to share that because, guys, you know, so many times we get people started, and some people don't do what it is that they say that they want to do. Just like they say they want to be in great shape, some people get started, they say they want to go out there and make this happen, they say that they want more money, but then they won't do what it takes. And many times it boils down to the associations that they have in their mind about what it is that they're doing. Whether it's they associate fear, rejection, things like that, oh, if I go talk to somebody, they're going to say no. And if they say no, like something happens to you, like something negative. But the reality of it is nothing changes. See, the worst thing that can happen to you in your life or in this business is that you stay the same. Like that's the worst thing that can happen. And, you know, I can understand or appreciate that if something basically, congratulations, Mice, that she finally did a live. But basically, if you think like, look, guys, if you drop dead when somebody said no, then it would make sense not to do that anymore. For instance, like there's people that eat food that's not really good for them. Some people smoke cigarettes and stuff like that. We know that it's not good for you, but then we'll keep doing certain things over and over and over, even though it's counterproductive. Because a lot of times it takes a long time for you to recognize that that was a bad thing. For instance, you know, like if you ate a Big Mac and, you know, or your friend ate a Big Mac and they croaked in front of you, you probably wouldn't go eat one. But one of the things I was taught early on was it's all about simple disciplines versus simple errors in judgment. And there's many books about it. There's, you know, Darren Hardy has a compound effect. Jeff Olson also has a book on that as well. Now I just forgot the name of it, but it's basically the same book, you know. But and it talks about, it's a slight edge, but it's basically simple errors in judgment versus basically simple disciplines. So guys, the simplicity of what we do in the 4-step system, it's really easy to do, but it's also easy not to do, because tomorrow you don't notice a difference if you don't do it. The next day you don't notice a difference. The next day you don't notice a difference. It's just like, eating a Big Mac versus eating a good meal, and working out versus not working out. When many times, a lot, like even for myself, right when I started in the gym, you do it for a week and you're like looking in the mirror and you're like, nothing's really changed. But it takes time for things to change. But it's simple disciplines repeated over time is really how you create success in what it is that we do. So guys, we have a very simple system. It's 4 steps. Step 1, we're a product of the product, which means we drink coffee, drink tea, drink lemonade, and we're happy. And we're happy to where people notice a difference in you. And if you basically are drinking this and people, like, if you're negative and whatever, like, nobody's going to be attracted to the happy coffee with negative Nancy, or hope we don't have Nancy's on here, but yeah, I mean, you know what I mean, right? So the thing is that people don't want to be around that. People want to be around people that are going to uplift them and make them feel special, make them feel good. And our system is based around the 6 basic human needs. So we're going to go into this a little bit, and then we're going to talk about the cause and the movement that we are creating here together. And guys, I really believe that if you can embrace this and you can get people to buy into this cause, then things in your life can absolutely change. So step 1 is drink coffee, be happy. Step 2 is share your story with people. Well, how do you share your story without being a weirdo? Like, do you run into people at the grocery store and just start sharing your story? No, that doesn't really work. But you can generate conversations about things. And it's funny, when you ask people what they do, what do they normally ask you right after? Whenever you say, hey, what do you do? And they're like, well, I do this, that, whatever. And if you pay attention to them and just listen to them, the next thing that they're going, what do you do? And it's really as simple as this. How do we generate conversation? It's really as simple as, that's a great question. Do you know anybody drinks coffee or tea? And they're going to be like, well, yeah. Say, have you heard about the happy coffee that everyone's been talking about? So that's how we basically generate that conversation. Now, if you're someone that's like, well, what about the shake? And what about this? And what about that? What about the unwind? And guys, we have a lot of great products, but what we found is that it's the easiest thing is to start off with asking people if they've heard of the happy coffee that everyone's talking about. But if you are one of those people that are like, well, I want to be able to share other things as well, you could say, have you heard about the happy company everyone's been talking about? You can say, have you heard about the happiness challenge that everyone's been talking about? And those are some questions that you can ask, and they say, no, what is that? And like, say if I was to start off with, hey, have you heard of the happiness challenge everyone's been talking about? And they say, no, what is that? And I'm like, oh my gosh, do you drink coffee, tea, or lemonade? And they're like, well, I drink whatever it is. And then I basically just go, no way. And then I share my story on what it did for me. I went to go take a ride with a friend on Saturday. I didn't know it was going to be a party, but they're like, hey, we're going to go drop something off. And there was about 20 people over at this house. And while I was there, people say things that open it up. And then as I'm talking with people and getting to know them and asking them what they do, of course, they're going to ask me what I do. And I just said, hey, have you heard about the happy coffee everyone's been talking about? And they go, no, what is that? And I'm like, oh my, you haven't tried the happy coffee yet? And I say it from a place where their interest is to where, like, I want to find out about this, right? So that's how we lead into that. A couple questions we can ask. 1, do you drink coffee, tea, or lemonade? Or do you know anyone that drinks coffee, tea, or lemonade? Because if you ask, do you know anyone? They can't say no. It's impossible. Then we say, have you heard of? And then you basically talk about it. And if they say yes, I'm like, no way. How long have you been drinking it? Because sometimes they might be lying to you anyway. So then and then you'll find out. And then that's where I'll lead into what it is. And the other question I might ask, hey, in these crazy times, do you know anybody could use a little bit more happy in their life? Hey, do you know anybody that'd like to be happier? Yeah, why? That's a silly question. Well, have you heard about the happy coffee everyone's been talking about? No, I haven't. What is that? Tell me more. Oh my gosh, a friend of mine shared this with me. Prior to taking it, I had just gone through, and I'll share my story on where I was and how I was sick, and I was going through what I would consider depression and anxiety and all that. And a friend of mine was telling me about this magical coffee. Now, are people skeptical? Can we agree some people are skeptical? So I handle objections before I get them. For instance, I mentioned the fact that I was skeptical, because if I say that I was skeptical and they're skeptical, then they will no longer be skeptical. Can't even talk. They will no longer be skeptical because I've already handled the skeptical side. So I'll say, you know what? A friend of mine was telling me about this magical unicorn coffee that sounded too good to be true. To say I was skeptical about a coffee that could do all the things that he was sharing, it almost seemed unreal. But what I did realize that, look, I love this couple. I trust them. And if they're telling me it's doing all this stuff for them, I at least need to try this stuff. And what I can tell you is within 15 minutes of me drinking this, I was on the phone saying, what is in this and is it legal? Because for the first time in 2 years, I felt normal again. I felt amazing. But I tell you what, there's a video that explains it way quicker than I can. Hey, if I text it to you, when do you think you could take a whole 3 minutes to take a look at it? Boom. Now I just led into step 3. Step 2, share your story by asking questions. Step 3, share a tool. Whether you're using a Facebook group, whether you're using a quick video, or whether you're using a sample, use a tool, don't be a tool. You don't need to be the one to explain everything. You don't have to be a scientist. You don't have to understand everything. You just have to share a tool. And then step 4 is I'm going to follow up. Hey, did you have a chance to try that sample? Yes, awesome. So guys, I learned this from a guy that was going around. He worked for Jim Rohn, and he came in my first company. He came to an event we did and basically did a presentation. And this guy was very successful in the industry, and he worked with Jim Rohn. And he gave me a line that I've used now for over 20 years, and I use it. Why? Because it works. And when I asked him, why do you say that? He said, because it works. And he said, it always works. So always use it. So whenever I follow up and I'm like, hey, did you have a chance to check out the video? Did you have a chance to try the coffee? Did you have a chance to check out the Facebook group? Whatever it is. And they tell me yes. I go, oh my gosh, can you see why I'm so excited? So I will say the next question is, can you see why I'm so excited? That's called a leading question. And then they're going to say, yes, I can. Awesome. So what made the most sense to you? So guys, we said, be normal, talk like you. So whatever that might be, it could be, what do you like best? What stuck out the most to you? What resonated with you the most? However you talk, that's what you're going to say. But basically the question is, can you see why I'm so excited? What did you like best? What did you like most? What resonated? However it is that you talk. Then the next is they're going to tell me like, oh man, I like the weight loss. No way, me too. So no matter what they tell me, we want to build a bridge. People like themselves. So if they say I like the weight loss, how many of us like the weight loss? If they say I like the energy, what do I say? No way, me too. They say I like the energy, I like the focus, I like the clarity, I like the appetite suppression. No way, me too, because I believe in all of those. I love all those things about it. People are only going to say a few things, one of a few things, and I'm going to say, no way, me too. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, awesome. So is there anything else you need to know before you're ready to be happy? Is there anything else you need to know before you're ready to be happy? Now, I might use an alternative closing question. An alternative closing question is like ABC, right? Like, so remember those tests in school where you had to fill out one of the little dots, but there's only two dots. Alternative closing question is, so where you want to be happy and make extra money or just be happy? Where you want to be happy and make extra money, or just be happy? So now if I say, is there anything else you need to know before you're ready to be happy? Is there anything else you need to know before you're ready to get started? They're going to basically say, well, whatever the question is, what's in it? How does it work? Guys, I answer everything super simple, and then I'm going to lead to step 4, which is a connection. So what's in it? You know what? That's a great question. I have no freaking idea. All I know is when I drink this stuff, I feel good. And I just basically share what it did for me. I'm like, I have no idea what's in it, but they told me it's going to make you happy. I drank it. I was happy. I don't really care what's in it. So basically, if you want to know more about what's in it, I'll tell you what, a friend of mine can answer that way better than I can. She's so much more into like what all the ingredients are and all that. Let me get her on the phone. You got to hear her story. Boom. And now I'm going to do a connect. Some people are like, well, I don't know how to use 3-way. I don't know how to. Great. Guys, nowadays, most people are on Facebook. Most people are in Messenger. You can simply go into Messenger and you start a thread with those two. And I recommend talk. Talk into the Messenger. That way they're hearing the tone of your voice and they're hearing the excitement and they're not just texting. Like God knows what you're going to read when I text, because when I text, like all kinds of crazy stuff happens. Like it says all kinds of stuff and it screws everything up. I mean, it's hard enough to watch what's coming out of my mouth, which much less what's coming out of my fingertips. So I'm going to at least talk and I'm going to say, oh my gosh, John, meet Bonnie. Bonnie's excited. She had a couple questions. John, can you share blah, blah, blah? And I'm just going to basically talk into the phone and introduce there. And we might say, hey, if y'all want to jump on a quick call, or the person that you did that with, they can say, hey, I'd much rather talk. I'm not in a position where I can text. And then boom, you just press the call button right from Messenger. So you could either do that, or you can do a 3-way call, or you can do a Zoom. Step 4 is connecting to someone else. So why do we do that? Well, because many people try to answer things on their own. And it might be sometimes faster to answer things on your own, but you could win the battle, but lose the war. Or you could basically win the war by teaching them the duplication model and what we do, because there's some people that might go, you know what, like you might have a background in something in the medical field. And they're sitting there thinking, well, I can't do what you did because I don't know anything about the medical stuff. I don't know anything about this. Or it might be, I'm great at sales or great at talking to people. And they might go, well, I can't do this because I'm not great at talking to people and I'm not whatever. People are creating a story in their mind on why they can or can't do things. So we want to take that away. So how do we take that away? We basically lead them into someone else. And this is what I love to share, especially when I'm doing a 3-way call and I'm sharing the stories of the 4 steps. I'm going to basically ask them a question like, hey, is it safe to say you're not a professional basketball player? And can we agree most people are going to say no? Because I don't know if we have any professional basketball players on the team. But the thing is that most people are not qualified to join the NBA. And I'll say, and that's great. Well, let me ask you this. Do you know how to dribble a ball? And 99.9% of the people say, yes, I can dribble the ball. And if they say, I can't, well, can you throw it on the ground and catch it back? Can you throw it on the ground and catch it back in your hand? I could do that. Well, what if I told you all you had to do in our company, in our business, is basically dribble the ball, and then I want you to picture Michael Jordan run by all graceful, some Air Jordan-esque type stuff, and you just put your hands out, pass the ball to Michael Jordan, you let him slam dunk the ball, and you get paid. Would you join the NBA if all you had to do is pass the ball to Michael Jordan and let him take all the shots for you? And everyone says yes. And then we say, well, the reason why our company grows so fast, the reason why our teams are growing so fast is because you are joining the Michael Jordan of the industry. And we have people that can actually take all those shots for you, so you don't have to be great, but they are. And that's what I love about this, is it's not about you. It's about passing it on to someone else. And what people realize is, hey, I can do that. So guys, that's our very simple 4-step system. So now let's tie in real quick. I'm not going to go all into this because it's just going to take too much time. But the reality of it is people don't really, a lot of times people aren't happy because something is out of alignment in terms of basically what they're experiencing in life. And I'm sorry, but certain medications and all that aren't going to do the same thing as when people feel productive, when people are feeling love and connection. Can we agree that more people nowadays are so tied in with these things, and we're on social media, and everybody tries to live this perfect life on social media? Can we agree on that? Everybody was, oh, everything's wonderful and all that stuff. And then you see in their life's really not as pretty as they try to make it out to be, right? I don't know if y'all noticed, but a lot of people are filter-esque. Everything is filtered. There's nothing real nowadays. So with that being said, guys, people want to feel that love and connection. They want to be a part of something. And our culture and community is so key and so important for that. So let's talk about that real quick. Guys, I got started in the industry, and my first 2 years was like the epitome of what not to do. And I shared earlier, like, you sign those people up, you get them started, and they don't really get started. That was me. And I'm sharing that because many times how you treat someone is going to dictate if they stick and stay. And now, if you've heard Brian talk anytime, Brian Heflin will always talk about, and he'll say, he might not say it exactly like this, but this is what he's saying: leaders are made, not born. People can be developed into a leader. It doesn't matter where you are today, but it's where you're going. It's what you want your life to look like. And it doesn't really matter what it looks like today. Perfect example is, have you ever seen anybody that when they start in the gym, they look nothing like what they do 6 months to a year later if they stay consistent? There was this lady that trains at the gym that I'm at. And it's funny because I remembered when I got started around the same time that she did. And she now looks like a totally different person. She probably lost 50 or more pounds, and she looks like a different person. Well, the thing is, when you look in the mirror, you might not see the leader or the person that you can be. But the beautiful part is you have today, and then you have tomorrow, and you have the next day, and every day through simple disciplines repeated over time, you can change your life. You can create a different you. And it really just boils down to you making that decision. And number two, not judging yourself and not giving up on yourself when things get tough, when things get tight, staying close to your dream, what it looks like, and more importantly, what it feels like when you accomplish that. So guys, if you create an environment where your team feels like, first off, you are not anyone's boss. We said earlier that, people basically, they'll get started, and people don't want to do anything that they feel negative. Like, and we said rule number 2 is have fun. It's not fun to have a boss that's sitting there telling you what you should and shouldn't do and all that stuff. And the cool thing about this business is so beautiful. You got learned knowledge. You have activity knowledge that you get by doing it. Then you have modeling knowledge where you can model someone. And guys, you just pick somebody that you resonate with. It doesn't matter who it is. If there's someone in the team that you resonate with, model after them. If their language style is similar to yours and you can resonate with the way that they speak versus the way that I speak or someone else speaks, model after them. So that's modeling knowledge. And the last knowledge is teaching knowledge. When you start to actually teach what you learned, what you modeled. And, what I love about this business, what I love about network marketing is that, in traditional business, they have what they call R&D, which is research and development. Well, in network marketing, we have R&D, but it's rob and duplicate. It's rob from the people that say something that you like. Oh, I like the way she said that, and duplicate it. It's so crazy. I have so many trainings that I've listened to over the years, and I don't know where I got a lot of stuff now. It's like, I even think I make some stuff up, and then I hear somebody else say, and I'm like, I guess I didn't make that up. The thing is that you just do so much personal development that you don't even know where the stuff came from, right? But it's all about rob and duplicate. It's basically, you want to be a copycat, but you also want to copy the right cat. Because in business, if you're copying people that, don't have the success that you want, you're going to also not have the success that you want. If people have the relationships that you want, then that's who you copy from a relationship perspective. If people have the business that you want, you copy that person in the business. You pick and choose what you resonate with from whoever, and that's who you're going to that's who I recommend modeling after. So, guys, love and connection, so important. And I'll close this section out with that. Guys, again, 2 years in the business, and finally I decide to get off my butt and say, you know what, I'm going to make it happen. And give me some comments if any of you all have said, as soon as this happens, then I'm going to do it. I'm going all in. Or as soon as that happens, then I'm going to do it. As soon as whatever. It's kind of like when somebody says, well, as soon as I have enough money, I'm going to have kids. Guys, it never happens. It never happens. And things happen in life. There is no perfect time to have kids. There's no perfect time to whatever. The perfect time is when you decide that success is not an option. And I remember going from a place where I finally got to the point where I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was so just tired. I was shoeing horses for a living. I was spending my day under a horse's butt every day. And my back hurt like crazy. I didn't want to get out of bed. I sold my wife this dream of one day, baby, oh, life is going to be so good. And I was in a position where she was supporting my ass, excuse my language, but she was supporting me and not liking me too much. And with that being said, I had to finally just say, you know what, I'm going to make this happen no matter what. And I remember going from making no money to basically $3,000 that month. And then from that day forward, I never made less than that. From that month forward, I never made less than that. And by 2005, I was making six figures. And then it had that kind of income all the way up through 2015 when I got sick. And then I had the worst 2 years of my life. And it's funny, like I remember back in the day, and you hear people tell stories about how they were up high on the hog and then they lost everything. And you're like, how do these people do this? Like, once I get it, I'm never going to lose it and all that silly stuff. But you never know what life deals you. And I found myself in a position where I was sick and my whole life got turned upside down. But guys, basically, as long as you can look up, you can get up. And if you just decide that you're not going to give up and you basically keep pushing through, you can create. And we had a supernatural turnaround in getting started with this company and have done better here than we've done in our entire life. With that being said, your past doesn't equal your future. Where you are today doesn't equal where you're going to be tomorrow. And I'm sharing that because we're about to get into something that is our cause, which is our movement on who we are. And some of you all, when you put a number on it, sometimes you will sabotage yourself because you start to look at it or feel a certain way. And I'm going to bring a young lady on to kind of share some, it's crazy, when you talk to people and like you just learn from them when you're talking with them and you hear different things or things that you might have not even heard in years. And then you hear something, whatever. So this young lady, I've learned a lot from in a very short amount of time, just listening to her, and so proud of her journey and what she's been able to do. But what we're going to talk about real quick is thousandaires. See, every company that has a movement, or you have to create a cause that people can get excited about. And for many people, money will attract one type of person or personality style. If you're two, it'll reds and blues love the whole network marketing, money, talk, the hype and all that stuff. They really resonate with that stuff. But other personality styles don't necessarily resonate with that. And you want to make sure that your message is resonating with the masses. And you want to make sure that what we're creating, we can make people feel good about where they are. If somebody just gets started with you and they just want to drink the coffee and be happy, celebrate them where they are. Some people get started because they want to make an extra couple $100 a month. And you tell them that, oh, you can do more, and you start talking 10 grand a month, you're pushing that person out of the game, and you don't know who your next superstar is going to be. you don't know if that person would have been that person. In fact, the Hillary, who's about to share with you guys, she's done more this year already than basically where she was last year. And she's gonna more than double. I even heard it come out of her mouth that she's going to make quadruple. Was that the number that you said? I'm going to make quadruple what I did last year. And what she did here last year would be considered a full-time job for many people in a good income. But she's already doing way better. And it boiled down to some things that she recognized about what she was dealing with herself. So the cause and the movement we're going to talk about, and then she's going to go into some insights about how to frame it and all that, is about creating thousandaires, guys. If you basically see, if we create thousandaires, the people that want to make six figures and beyond, they can do that by how many people they help hit the thousandaire status. Because you could break our comp plan down. And if you look at our income disclosure statement, it's really as simple as, like, if you're a black diamond, that's roughly on average about $8,000 a month. So that's roughly about, I think it's 16 bronzes, if I did the numbers right. But it's roughly about 16 thousandaires, because a bronze on average is going to make anywhere from $500 to $1,000. And if you help 16 people go out there and do that, more than likely you'll be a six-figure earner with our company. So guys, the movement of what we have is about the more thousandaires that we create. See, many companies talk about, oh, we're going to go out there and make more millionaires and all this other stuff. And the reality is most people don't believe that's going to be the fact. So Hillary, let's talk about that a little bit. Share your insights in terms of, creating thousandaires and how to make sure that it's framed in a positive fashion, and just do what you do. Cause I know, the nuggets you were dropping the other day when we were talking were just phenomenal. So I go off on rants, go off on whatever rant you like.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Chris. I love and adore you. And you guys, honestly, before I even get started, half the time when I go on my rant, I call them my divine downloads. I don't even know. I just open up to receiving the wisdom that comes from God. Okay. So, but Chris is absolutely right. I'm on track. I will. And here's something that's so crazy for me to even be in the position to say, I'm going to quadruple my income. Let me tell you where my mindset was 4 months ago to say those words to come out of my mouth. The enemy whispered, don't say that. Why would you say that? What if you don't do it? People are going to think you're bragging. They're going to think this, they're going to think that, right? So when Chris shared earlier on the call, I wrote it down. I've heard it before, but you're not going to attract what your thoughts repel. That's where I was, you guys. That's where I was. As much as I wanted it so bad, the thought was still there around money, around the mindset of money, around saying, I want 1,000, let alone to say, I want to make 100,000 a month, right? That mindset and those beliefs, that system that I had been brought up with, not by any fault of, right? No blame, but I had to start saying, whose voice is that? When I heard, who are you to say that? Don't say that. What if you put that out there? What if that doesn't happen? Can you really do it? Are you really worth it? I'm like, hold up. Whose voice is that? Right? Whose voice is that? Because I know deep down in my soul, in my purpose, in my fire, in my belief in this company, what we're doing, all the things, that I am worthy, that every single one of you is worthy. So whose voice is that? Number one, that's what you have to identify. When those thoughts are coming in, when Chris said, we're going to make thousandaires, what was the first voice that popped into your head? Was it, oh, that's not me? Did that come up, my friends? If it did, it's okay. You're not going to change it if you don't even acknowledge it, right? If you don't identify it. I'm going to tell you right now, this phrase, healing the hidden places, you guys, healing the hidden places. I'm going to go deep on you for a minute. if you do not work on healing those places, the ones that hurt the most, the ones that sting the most, this is where I'm going to get emotional. I'm going to try not to, but you guys, wealth and money for me for years, I didn't talk about it. I didn't talk about it. I didn't look at my bank account. I would go to the ATM and I didn't want a receipt, because if I didn't see it, I didn't have to face it. I didn't have to face that reality. There was more month than money. I lived in 15-day increments, you guys. At the end of the month, I didn't have money in my bank account, but I have my bank account set up that I could still swipe my card and I could still make the purchases. I would just suffer an overdraft. So I figured out I could go to the ATM and I could take out $200 and I could live off of $200 and I could have one hit, right, for that overdraft fee. So when I talk about money and I share these things with you, that is a hidden place I had to heal. That mindset, that belief, those lies, those voices that came around money and talking about money, sharing money isn't a dirty thing. Sharing your goals and your dreams around money isn't a dirty thing. It's really not, if your intentions are right around it too, right? And I believe that money is energy, right? And it comes from source, which is God, and he's unlimited abundance on it, right? So when I flipped that and I was like, okay, Hillary, God controls money. I have faith. I have belief. I have faith and belief in what I'm doing. I have faith and belief in these products. It was like this perfect alignment. And then guess what I did and continue to do? Focus on the impact. Focus on the impact that you are wanting to make, right? And it's not enough to just say that you want to do it. Get to a place where you are taking the steps daily to get yourself there, right? It's that work ethic. It's that, choice that you make to say, gosh, I really want to do this. If you're coming at your business from this place of, man, I really have to make this work. Been there, done that, right? Does it usually work? No, it usually doesn't. You usually just end up more frustrated. So why am I prefacing all of this? Because it's energy, it's flow, it's the feelings that you're putting on. There's a reason in the process it says, like, don't be a weirdo, right? Like, take the products, be happy, because people can feel that. Those are the first things that they're feeling from you. Are you really happy? Do you really believe in what you're doing? Right? You can't just go out there and say, hey, buy my coffee. And then in the back of your mind, they're like, this crap doesn't work, but I hope they buy it. Right? Like, not having that mindset. Even, you guys, it goes down to, what are you telling yourself when you're drinking your coffee in the morning, when you're taking your products? Are you mixing it up and going, I don't know why I'm drinking this stuff. I don't know. Chris says it works. It's not really working for me, right? What is your mindset? Because all of that trickles down into your customers, into your team, right? And if you're here to really create something so amazing and so beautiful, it's helping everyone with that mindset. It really is, because it helps with that feeling. You know, those people that you're around, you're like, oh yes, they're there. I just love when they're in the room. Like, they just make me feel so good. And then, the people that you're like, oh gosh, there she is. She's going to be complaining about something. I know. The same is true when you hit the scroll and go into Facebook or social media. The same is true. You know, the people who you're like, oh geez, what is she posting about today, right? What is she sharing today? Or the ones where you're like, oh man, she's always sharing so much value, or he's giving value. He makes me feel so good when I read his posts, right? So I feel like I'm kind of maybe, I'm really knocking over my water, and I did it again. Goodness, my hands here. But you guys, why I'm sharing this is because it's that foundational belief and those things where you have to be honest with yourself. Where are you tripping yourself up? because we have a simple system, right? We have a simple system. We have amazing products. I was tripping myself up, one of many areas, but my biggest one was around money and my mindset around money. You guys, full transparency, a hidden place. But once I talk about it, the more I talk about it, even though I'm sweating so much sharing this with you guys, I know that through sharing this, I'm praying and hoping that it's helping someone else on this call or someone watching the recording going, man, that's me. Okay, I can do this, right? So when Chris shared, we're going to talk about thousandaires, one of the first things I said is, man, some people can get really weirded out when you put a dollar amount on it, when you put a dollar amount on it or a goal out there. Some people might say, oh man, that's not for me. Good for them. Never for me, not for them. Stop, disqualifying yourself and really say, what is the voice that's stopping me? Right? Who's even saying that? Because if you're on this call or listening to the recording and taking the time, that's not really what you believe. You really believe you're worth it and you want it deep down, but you're listening to the wrong voice, right? So identify that voice and find the action steps. One really quick action step that Chris and I had talked about earlier this week is sometimes we get really hung up on, man, I don't have anyone to talk to, right? We get in this like social media bubble of, man, if people aren't commenting or liking or whatever, like you don't have anyone to talk to. Well, number one, the Lord makes new people every day. I didn't know if you guys knew that. I like to share that in case you don't know. There's new people every day. There's lots and lots of people. Again, the abundance mindset. Don't get hung up on the few. Don't get, again, I share all this stuff because I used to say this crap. Man, if Chris would just sign up, he would crush it. I would move forward. I'd hit that next rank. But what were all those statements about? Me. They weren't really about wanting Chris to join to help Chris, right, guys? So, what you can do to really help your mindset too when you're sitting down to work, I call it my 8 list. You'll hear it again and again, attract to elevate, writing down people's names. Okay. Go into your stories. If you have not done this, if you do not have a list of names of people. Now, disclaimer, I am not saying to go message them and be a weirdo and go to everyone that you have no relationship with and start being spammy. That's not what I'm saying. For me, it helps to see people's names and put that energy and that intention out of how I can bless them, right? So if you're putting up stories, write down the names of the people that are looking at your stories, that are reacting to it, right? Those are leads. Those are people that love you. Those are people that are watching you. People buy from people they like, know, and trust. You'll hear it all the time. These are people that like you, right? So writing down those names and growing that list, you know what else that does? Is it helps me personally when I sit down to work to, build those relationships. I have a starting point. I'm not going then on and like scrolling. I'm going, okay, Chris, he's my guy today, right? Like I am making it a point to build my relationship with him because I know that these products are going to benefit him so much, right? So it's simple little things that you can do to quiet that voice that says nobody's paying attention. Nobody's looking. Nobody's wanting what you're having, right? By literally just writing names down. And the last thing I'm going to share is that when you are functioning in your day-to-day life off of social media, okay, and you all can test this out, but when you are doing things that you love, right? And you are enjoying life, you are the biggest magnet of other good things. People can feel it. People can sense it. If you're just sitting at home waiting on your phone for that person to respond, for that person to react to your post, for whatever, It's not going to happen. Go live your life and be happy. Go live your life and be happy. Share that. Share those experiences. It doesn't always have to be buy my coffee, join my team. In fact, I don't really want to see that ever, right? You don't say that. You show that. You show them why they would want to be happy, why they would want to purchase these products, why they would want to join you by your activity, by you living your life, by you being happy, not by what you're saying. Right, guys? So, this leading it all back to the thousandaires, I hope and I pray that every single one of you that is on this call says, that's me. That's me. I really hope and I pray that for you, because the beginning stages of anything is knowing you're worthy of it, right? And understanding that you flip and deserve it. You deserve it and so much more. You deserve it and so much more. Don't get hung up in the story. Identify whose voice is that and tell him to shut up. Tell him to be quiet, sit down. You're not driving the bus, I am. And this is where I'm going. And these are my beliefs. And this is what I'm doing, right? So, Chris, you know me, I did go off a little bit on some other stuff that we had talked about, but without a shadow of a doubt, and I've told Chris this over and over, you guys, I can feel it in my soul. It is not fake. It is real here. And we are on a real mission to change lives, to do things different, to live happy, right? And I know that we have the best place, community, culture to do that. And you're all part of it. So don't also, before we get off, I feel it's coming. I want to tell you, stop telling yourself this story that you're not big enough. You're not doing enough. You're here. You are literally the founding brand partners. You are literally the foundation. You are the glue. You are the bricks. You are the mortar that is putting this foundation and building this company. Whether you sign one person, a million people, you being here matters. You matter. You showing up to the calls, you loving on one another, it's gonna make me cry. You guys matter, okay? Our community is our currency. We are all rich here, right? We are all rich. You matter. So when that voice starts telling you you're not doing enough, you're not big enough, whatever that voice is, quiet it, because you matter. You are literally laying the foundation and the groundwork for a company that is set up for generations, and you're a part of it, a huge, huge part of it. So claim that destiny, claim what you want. Don't be afraid to share it. Don't be afraid to say it, and go share it with other people. Focus on that impact you want to make. Decide what your daily activities are going to be. Don't beat yourself up. God's grace is new every single morning, and just go make the difference. The income will always, always flow, always flow. When you focus on that impact and activity, the income will come.
Boom. Thank you so much, Hillary. So guys, it really boils down to, we are creating a movement. And, you heard Hillary share about, how you matter, you make a difference. And we're going to close this call out with breaking down the rest of the human needs, which is who we are as a culture and community. And guys, if you can really get behind what it is that we're trying to create here, what we're creating together here, in creating that movement to where people feel, a lot of times as people are getting started, they don't believe they're going to make 10 grand a month. But they believe that if they can make a couple $100s a month, then they can make 500. And if they can make 500, they can make 1,000. So guys, what if we just focus in on how many people we can help make $500 to $1,000 a month? And by creating a whole bunch of thousandaires, That's how you get to the big income. It's really that simple. So what she was talking about was one, significance. So the 4 of the 6 basic human needs that we're going to focus in on is love and connection. We already talked about that. Loving on people where they, or no matter where they are, love on people until they believe enough in themselves that they go out and do it. Number 2 is significance, letting people know that they're important, letting people know that they matter, that they make a difference. So important. And where do we do that? It starts off with the welcome call, finding out what their goals are, their dreams are. Why do they want that? What does their life look like when that happens, when that changes? Now, contribution. Guys, whether you know it or not, if you're on this call, you're contributing, especially if you have your camera on, because whoever's speaking is feeding off the energy of the people that are on the call and that have the camera on. A lot of times, if people are sitting there, digging in their nose or doing whatever, I switch the screen. I'm looking at somebody else and I'm looking at who's paying attention and who's basically either writing notes or shaking their head and doing all that stuff. And basically I just go off of inflow of where I feel I'm supposed to talk about, because you're contributing and what you do matters, just like what Hillary shared. And the thing is that many times you look at, and it's crazy how people will look at like a top leader in a company and they'll go, oh my gosh, like they're just like you. They just have more people that are thousandaires on their team. That's it. It's no different. They're just like you. And it's without you having a whole bunch of people do a little bit. What you do matters. The big stories, when you hear people ranking up, they're ranking up because of all the people that are doing 1 or 2 customers, because of all the people that are bringing in 1 promoter a month. So don't look at yourself and going, I'm not doing enough to matter. I'm not doing enough. No, what you do matters. John Paul Getty said, I'd rather have 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own. I'd rather have 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own. It's about getting a large group of people to do a few simple things over and over and over again. That's where stability comes from. Stability comes from not having a few rock stars. It doesn't come from that. It comes from having a whole bunch of people that believe that, hey, I can make an extra $200, $300, $400, $500 a month. You help a couple people make $500 a month. Next thing you know, you're making $1,000 a month. Help a couple people make $1,000 a month. Boom, and your income grows like that. It comes from who can you impact with these products and who can you impact with our messaging? Who can you impact with the community? Who can you impact? How many of you all were impacted by Hillary tonight? How many of you all felt something that she shared? And the thing is that there was a time when she didn't think that she could really bring value. Leaders are made, not born. And you have greatness within you. You just have to recognize it. And if you don't recognize it yet, recognize that there's people that pour into you, that care about you, that want you to grow, that want to help you to go out there and make things happen. Why? Because they believe in you. Because they know that you have far more greatness than you can see. They know that basically leaders are made, not born. So guys, it doesn't matter where you are today. It matters where you want to go. And it's really that. And guys, you can pour life into one person. How many of you all have shared this product with somebody and they're saying, oh my God, this stuff changed my life? Guys, you are contributing to the bigger picture. You are contributing. And that's one of the factors. People need to feel like they're contributing, and what they're doing makes a difference. And last, you have to be in a place of growth. You're either growing or you're dying. And many times people look at their numbers as being grown. I'm not talking about your numbers, because numbers will go. Guys, it's called life. It's called business. The economy does it. Stocks do it. Everything does it. And some of the best growth comes from some of the worst times. See, if I would not have been sick for 2 years, I wouldn't have been able to deal with many of the things that I dealt with when we were growing this company to the level that we've done, because we had some challenges. And going through the worst time of my life prepared me for the best time in our life. And why is because when you realize when you can't walk and you're stuck in bed and you're in constant pain, you realize that a shipping issue doesn't matter. You realize that, you know, somebody complaining or bitching or whatever doesn't matter. None of it matters. None of it's as important is, you know, it's all what we make it. And I realized that if I wouldn't have gone through that stuff, I would not have been prepared to go through this. So even when you're at your lowest point, that is the place to prepare for your highest points. Setbacks are setups for comebacks. Setbacks pave the way for comebacks. And it's many times the worst times of our life that prepare us for the best times of our life. So guys, the last, like I said, is growth. This is an environment for growth. And what I promise you and what we commit to you is that if you will stick and stay, your life will change. We are going to create that environment for you to grow your life to the next level. We're going to create that environment where you can grow to be the best version of yourself and create the life that you desire. We just went 2 minutes overtime, so I'm going to shut this bad boy off. Guys, I hope you got value off of tonight's call. Thank you so much for contributing, Hillary. But guys, look, we have coffee chats and all kinds of stuff. If you want to get into action, that's done on Monday mornings, Wednesday mornings, and Friday mornings at 9 o'clock Central Time. It's it's my website and I can't remember it, elevatetohappy.com. And you can get on there, and there's always great value with different leaders sharing, and they're doing different things to take action and then following up and a bunch of cool stuff. So guys, you're welcome to jump on those. Again, it's your business. You can do whatever it is that you want to do. But I recommend plugging into calls like this so where you can create an environment for growth to where you can take your life to the next level. With that being said, again, this call will be, all calls are recorded and they are put at zoomreplay.com. That's zoomreplay.com. Normally they're put up within a day or two. Sometimes takes a little bit longer, but most of the time within a day or two. But with that being said, everybody have a great night. Thanks again. I hope you guys got value.
Thanks, Hillary. Thanks, Chris.
Night, everyone.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.